This is an atom. This is the electron, a particle with a charge of negative electricity.
This is a nucleus, a positive charge central cone of an atom that consists of protons and neutrons. This is a neutron. It has no net electric charge and a mass slightly larger than a proton.
This is a proton. It has a positive charge and equal and opposite to that of an electron. An ionic bond is when one atom gives a spare electron to another atom to make that atom stable.
This is a cation. It has a positive charge and the number of electrons is less than the number of protons. This is an anion. The number of electrons is more than the number of protons, and it's also negatively charged.
Polar bonds have unequal electron pair sharing. Polar bonds happen when two atoms form a molecule using a covalent bond. Nonpolar bonds are equal electrically balanced molecules. Nonpolar bonds occur when the electron sharing during a covalent bond is equal, so there is no ionic charge and the electrons are distributed symmetrically. Polar is hydrophilic, it likes water, and nonpolar is hydrophobic, it does not like water. Chemical reactions. A chemical reaction is the rearrangement of the molecular structure of a substance. A reactor undergoes change during a reaction. They start a chemical reaction. A product is a substance that are the outcome of the reaction. Synthetic reactions, also known as anabolism. It's the most common type of chemical reaction. Two or more chemicals combine to form a more complex product. Next we have is decomposition, also known as catabolic. It's rotting and decay, separation of chemicals to form simpler compounds, exact opposite of chemical synthesis. As you can see in the anabolism, you have molecules and energy, and it forms a larger molecule. Then that breaks down to catabolism. The catabolism decomposes it to smaller molecules and energy. Endoorganic reaction is a reaction that requires energy to be absorbed in order for it to take place. Exergonic reactions are chemical reactions that release energy in the form of heat. This energy is released when bonds are broken. Acids and bases. Acid is a substance that accepts an electron pair. They produce hydrogen ions. Bases is a substance that donates an electron pair. They produce hydroxide ions. pH shows how much hydrogen ions are present. Measures acidity of a solution. Neutralization, put acid and base together, it makes H2O, water. And buffers are chemicals that resist large swings in pH. Acids and bases. Acid is a substance that accepts an electron pair. They produce hydrogen ions. Bases is a substance that donates an electron pair. They produce hydroxide ions. pH shows how much hydrogen ions are present. Measures acidity of a solution. Neutralization, put acid and base together, it makes H2O, water. And buffers are chemicals that resist large swings in pH.
Carbohydrates. Sugars held together within a polar covalent bond. Monosaccharides. Simple sugars, most basic unit, also colorless and water-soluble. Disaccharides, a sugar formed within two monosaccharides, saccharose, lactose, and maltose. Polysaccharides are long chains of monosaccharide units bound together by glycoside linkage, range in structure from linear to higher branched. Starch is a large number of glucose units joined together by glycose bonds. Glycogen, forms of energy storage in animals and fungi, main storage from the glucose in the body.
Lipids, naturally occurring molecules that include fats, waxes, fat-soluble vitamins, monoglycerides, triglycerides, phospholipids, and others. Triglycerides, main components, are body fat in humans and other animals, as well as vegetable oil.
Eicosanoids, molecules made by oxidation of 20 carbon fatty acids. They exert complex control over main bodily systems, mainly in growth.
Nickname is the local hormones.
Proteins, one or more long chains of amino acids. They have a variety of functions, including catalyzing metabolic reactions, DNA replication, responding to stimuli, and transporting molecules from one location to another. The structure is three-dimensional arrangement of atoms in a protein molecule. Amino acids are biologically important organic compounds containing amini and carboxyl functional groups. The key elements are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Peptide bonds are covalent chemical bonds formed between two amino acid molecules. Fibrous protein is one of three main types of proteins insoluble in common solvents but are soluble in concentrated acids. Collagen is a fibrous protein. It helps provide a structural frame and lets muscles move. Globular proteins are somewhat water-soluble, unlike the fibrous or membrane protein. A myoglobulin is a globular protein.
It acts as a chaperone. It catalyzes most important and it speeds up, holds molecules together, and makes sure proteins fold correctly. the four structural levels. The first level would be primary. It's a sequence of amino acids forming a protein, most basic element of its structure. Next off is secondary. It has general three-dimensional form of local segments of a protein, carbohydrogen bonds of the protein that are observed in the atomic resolution structure. Next is tertiary. A protein's geometric shape. The structure has a single polypeptide chain with one or more protein. Secondary structures, the protein domains. Next is quaternary. Its number and arrangement of multiple folded protein subunits in a multi-subunit complex. Next is fibrous.
Protein denaturation is the process of which proteins lose the quaternary structure, tertiary structure, and secondary structure, which is present in their native state by application of some external stress or compound, such as a strong acid or base. Nucleic acid are biopolymers essential for all known forms of life. DNA and RNA are made from monomers known as nucleotides. DNA carries the genetics used in the growth of a living organ. RNA does coding, decoding, regulating, and expression of genes. ATP is a small molecule used in a cell as a coenzyme. It transports chemicals, energy within cells for metabolism.